Support for this program is provided in part by Guido's Fresh Marketplace.
Welcome to The Natural Cook. I'm Anna Gershenson. Today we are going to cook something very easy, very delicious. It is oven steamed fish with red chili oil and crispy garlic, as well as salad of romaine, celery in a ranch buttermilk dressing. So I always look for new cookbooks, as you know, and Julia Turshen is somebody who has been on my radar for a while and on the radar of very many other people. She's a beloved cookbook author, and the new cookbook, Now and Then, has these two recipes, not necessarily going together, but you can give it a try. I think it will be a good match. And so let's start cooking. So what we need is, first of all, we need to prepare a chili oil that is going to be going on top of the brushed, we're going to brush our baking sheet with the chili oil, and then it is going to be a part of the sauce that is going to be going on top of the fish. So preheating my skillet, and Julia actually recommends this recipe for 3 pounds of fish. I scaled it down to 2 pounds of fish. So I'm scaling down the rest of the ingredients. And you would use about 3 tablespoons of grapeseed oil or whatever oil that is neutral in flavor that you would like to use. So we are heating up the oil. And in the meantime, we will also prepare our garlic, because that's what is going to go into the skillet. So the oil is warm. I have here capacity to regulate my heat source. And with garlic, you will use 3 large garlic cloves. What you want to do is, after you peeled it, and I already pre-peeled some of them, and here I'm telling you not to be afraid to smash it properly, but here you want to be careful because you don't want the garlic to be in small pieces. You want it to be in slices to make garlic chips, so you really want to be careful and not to damage it. Then I recommend that you cut it in half, and then you will be able to place it flat on your cutting board and cut it into chips. Make them fairly even size, meaning not in terms of length, but thickness. Or you can go this way as well. It's up to you, whether you direct it long way or short way, it's your choice. But just try to make them even thickness, okay? And one more, and then we'll throw it into our hot oil. So what we want to do first is we want to put just 1 piece of garlic to make sure that it's sizzling nicely, and when we see that the oil is hot enough, then we can add the rest of them. Okay, so let's add 1 and see what happens. And so far nothing is happening, so I'm increasing the heat until I see that the oil is really doing its job. All right, while it's heating, there is 1 more. So we're having a lot of garlic, which everybody loves, especially when it is made into chips. In the meantime, before you even start this, you want to prepare a plate that is covered with a paper towel. So this is the plate that's covered with paper towel, because once your garlic is ready, you want to put it there so that it drains and it doesn't have the oil that will go, that's stuck to this garlic. Okay, now do you see how nicely it's sizzling? We are going to add the rest. Okay, and we should be watching it and actually stirring it from time to time to make sure that it's distributed nicely. I will take a fork. I love using a fork for this. You can separate the garlic cloves. And of course, you can imagine the aroma here in the studio, because when garlic is cooking, everybody is probably getting excited because something delicious is going to happen on their plate a little later on. Okay, so after the garlic has cooked, then we will add some chili flakes, because we want to make chili oil. And instead of buying it, we actually will make our own by infusing this garlicky oil with chili flake flavor. Not a lot, just to give it a little spice. As you can see, this garlic already started browning a little bit, so I'm reducing the heat. And this is why we want to use an oil like grapeseed oil, because it has very high smoking point. And so it's not going to turn carcinogenic and affect your health. So make sure not to use olive oil with it. And it's not just the flavor of the oil, but also, of course, like I said, the high smoking points that we are looking for here. All right, we don't need the oil anymore. I'll move this closer. And looks like our garlic chips are ready. And we'll move them to our paper towels. All right. Make sure to take everything out, because you don't want it to start burning when you continue cooking. So once your oil is ready, then you will want to cool it. Put it like in a separate bowl and cool it. Okay, so our flakes are here, and we'll add them, just a pinch of flakes. Okay, this is a good pinch. All right, so now let's cook it just for probably half a minute. That's all we need. And in the meantime, make sure that your oven is preheated to 400 degrees. I usually take whatever I'm cooking, the fish, the fish that I purchased is haddock. You can use sole, you can use cod, you can use grouper or salmon. It's just a question of how long it will be sitting in the oven, because the thicker the fish, the longer it will take to cook. Okay, so it looks like our oil has infused, and as it is going to be sitting, it will continue infusing further. So let's put it into a bowl. Turn off. Okay. And we'll pour it into this. So you will use about a tablespoon of this oil to oil your pan. And by the way, for garlic, you could use also some kind of slotted spoon to pull it out. That would be also a good tool to use. All right. So the pan is right here. We'll move this. Okay. And we also need half a cup of boiling water. So even though I boiled it in advance, but I want to make sure that it's really, really hot so that the fish can start steaming right away. All right, let's pour some of the oil. You can use a brush. I'll use my hand. you can use a brush to brush your pan with this oil so that the fish goes on top of this flavored oil. And don't salt too much, the fish too much, don't season too much, simply because we are going to be adding soy sauce to this oil to pour it over, and you don't want it to be too salty. So as you can see, this fish is pretty thin, so I think that it shouldn't take too long. I usually like turning the tail under so that it's even thickness. Let's place it in one layer like that so that it's spread evenly. All right, so that looks good. A little bit of salt. Okay. And now you want to prepare the foil. You really need to have good piece of foil. Okay, turning off. Let's put it away. It has to be covered with foil really, really well. So if you don't have a thick piece of foil, make sure to, not a thick piece of foil, but long enough to cover the pan. So let's measure. This is actually good. All right. So we will pour half a cup of water all around. Don't put on top of the fish. Okay. And it will be steaming in this, like all around. Okay, looks good. Okay, cover so that no steam escapes, and stick it in the oven. If the fish is pretty thin, then you should really check after about 15 minutes by taking the foil off and just seeing whether your fish is flaky, whether, we'll open it and I'll show you how I do it. So now we are going to make our salad. So our salad is romaine, and I bought hearts of romaine. And I also, I'm going to use celery. Celery is really one of my favorite ingredients to use in a salad, as you know, if you're watching my show. And it's really gives a nice crunch and also very good amount of nutrition. And in the meantime, while we already have it all ready, it doesn't take much to assemble this salad. We are going to make the ranch dressing. So let's grab a bowl. Okay, and actually, this is the bowl in which you are going to be mixing everything. So it's very convenient. If you want to make this dressing in advance, that's fine. You can take a smaller bowl and prepare it there. But it's really, the convenience of this salad is that you can mix the dressing in this bowl, put your ingredients on top, cover it with a towel, stick it in the refrigerator, and wait for a couple of hours, make it in advance, and then when you're ready to serve it, just take it out and toss it. So that's what we are going to do. Chives are a part of this, so we are going to chop some chives just to have all our ingredients ready to go when we want to throw them into our bowl. So you will just have a handful of chives. And this looks like a handful to me. You can always add more. All right. So the ingredients that go into the salad are half a teaspoon of salt. So let's put our salt. And I use kosher salt, diamond kosher salt. And I recommend that you do too. We also add half a teaspoon of garlic powder. There is also 2 teaspoons of red wine vinegar, garlic that is finely minced, just small garlic clove. And you can just smash it. Okay. And just mince it nicely to make sure that you don't have any big pieces. All right. You can even add a little bit of salt and just make it into a paste. Okay. All right, ready to go. Scrape it off. Okay, and add it. And I like, as you know, having garlic sitting a little bit with salt and vinegar, kind of to soften it. So you can do it, or you can skip this step. It's up to you. Since we are on a time limit, so we are going to proceed. Another ingredient we're going to add is 2 tablespoons of good mayonnaise. I like using organic mayonnaise because it's often made with oils like soybean oil is something that manufacturers favor because it's inexpensive. So since it's a GMO crop and you want to avoid GMOs, so I would use organic, and I strongly recommend you do the same. And then 1/4 cup of buttermilk. Okay. And then you will add your handful of chives. Okay. And your dressing is basically ready. So, of course, you want to taste it. I like making sure that the dressing has sharpness. So I would add a little more red wine vinegar. That's why I always advocate for tasting, even though you follow a recipe. But whoever created the recipe might have a very different idea of a flavor than you do. I know that when I'm dressing salad, I want my dressing to be highly seasoned because the lettuce leaves and the celery that go into the salad, they're really pretty inert. And that's what will give it, the punch, this oomph. And as you can see, there is no oil in this dressing, except the oil that comes from the mayonnaise. Okay. Black pepper will go on top of the salad. That's why I'm not adding it. Usually I love adding freshly ground black pepper, but it will go on top of the salad. Okay, so let's see. Our oil here is cooled. And we will prepare the sauce that will go on top of the fish. So we will add, it's like 3 tablespoons of soy sauce that goes here. So we'll add it and we'll mix it together. And then we'll taste it again. And as you can see, these chips have cooled down and they crisped up. And you can imagine what a wonderful crunch you will have when you are going to be eating it together with your fish. All right. Okay. All right. So now we need to take care of our vegetables and also some scallions. There will be some scallions that will top our fish, so let's slice them. And scallions, of course, are in the allium family, as well as chives, so it's wonderful to have them added so that they can be acting as a prebiotic in your gut, as well as, you know, giving all the nutritional qualities that you can benefit from. So I would just cut off that kind of green part and use the white and pale green. And I like having good amount of scallion, so I will use probably 5 of them. Okay. And let's slice them and put them aside so that when our fish is ready, we can just sprinkle our fish with it. So by slicing, you want to hold the scallion together and then use this sliding motion and moving your finger away. As you see, probably that my knuckle is sticking out a little bit. So my knuckle is actually the guide for my knife. As I am moving and wanting to slice more, I'm moving away my knuckle, and I always feel the blade of the knife on my knuckle. So you should do the same. Make sure that your fingers are not sticking out, that they are nicely folded underneath. Okay, so I think that this will be good amount. We'll put it into a separate bowl and have it ready for when the fish comes out. So for people who don't like eating fried food, this is really a wonderful recipe. I know that fried food is delicious because there is something magical happens when you fry the food, and then you have this, you know, reaction of the sugars caramelizing and also getting the crunch, and everybody likes the crunch of the fried food. But I think that it's really nice to eat food that is steamed because it's much healthier for you. And this is such an easy way of preparing it. Just sticking it in the oven, the steam is created, and your fish will cook well. All right, now onto our celery. I would like to use both celery leaves and celery stalks, and you would need 3 celery stalks. And I don't bother removing any kind of, you know, strings from the celery because I slice it very thinly, and so they really get cut this way. So we'll go like this. And I like slicing it on a diagonal. So again, put it conveniently so that you can hold it and just slice it thinly. If you want it super crunchy, you could always, you know, slice it in advance and put it into ice water to kind of crisp up even more. But I think this is good enough. Okay. I have a feeling that our fish might not be ready when our show is done running. So we might have to stop and check the fish, and if it's not done, we'll have to give it some more time so that I can show you what the final product looks like. So just giving you heads up. All right. So now, in order to get our romaine ready, okay, these I just like giving a rough chop to these, just like this, because leaves are also very, very nice. All right, so now we'll just trim off the core here, the bottom, and the leaves will come out just like that. And we don't really need to even cut the lettuce. We just let it open it up. And in this particular romaine, because these are hearts of romaine, if you buy head of romaine, then you definitely won't be able to do it like this. But with the hearts of romaine, it's very easy to do. And then you put this celery. Okay, and all you need to do is just toss it together and then sprinkle black pepper, and your salad is ready. So in the meantime, we'll take a little break because I want to make sure that the fish will be ready when I want to show you what it looks like and how we sauce it and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit. So we're opening, removing the foil, and we see that our fish is all flaked out. It's flaked up and it's soft, and so I will move it to our serving plate, just like that, with a fish spatula that leaves the water behind. And as you can see that the fish has really shrunk. I think that this fish you could have checked it after 10 minutes because it's a fairly thin fish and it cooked quickly. So let's put it here. And then our sauce will be ready to be poured on. So we mix together our chili oil, and we just spoon it all over our fish because that's what is going to flavor our fish. Okay, great. And then what you'll do is just sprinkle the scallions. Don't be shy. Put good amount of scallions there, and then our garlic chips. And it's just a wonderful dish to go with our salad. And with a salad, make sure that you sprinkle good amount of coarse pepper, and also add enough salt, because when you are mixing it, you should taste. So it's a wonderful winter menu. Enjoy it, and join me again for the next episode of The Natural Cook.
Support for this program is provided in part by Guido's Fresh Marketplace.